Mesa podcast from our table to yours. You are now currently hanging out with the two most chaotic of the group.
Aming. That's the perfect word.
That's the perfect word. Tatiana and Alex are definitely our left brains.
Yeah.
We are the right brains.
1000%.
It took us forever to
It could
even
not
get
be more half and half out here in these streets. If we're talking about type A's and type B's,
we're the type B. Yeah. But it's okay because now you're hanging out with us. You're going to get a little bit into our insight.
Ooh.
And it is Vinito Friday.
Salud,
today.
mi gente.
So,
salud.
Salud.
We're sipping. We're having a casual little afternoon discussing a little bit more of a lighthearted topic, which is slang. We're talking terms. We're talking just shit people say.
Latino slang, Latinx slang, Latina slang of different countries. Obviously, even in different parts of this country, everybody has their own little sayings.
Oh my God,
and in Latin America, it's the same.
1000%.
And I feel like we don't get enough. We only get just one small percentage of what the inside jokes, slang, vibe is for Latin America as a whole. But each country has their own little vibe, and we're gonna get a little bit into that.
And of course, we are Venezuelan and Dominican, and we've both been living in this country. Me since I was born, she since she was very young. So of course, there are Americanized things all woven in there, and other influences. Like my stepdad is from Venezuela, so I've heard a lot of the terms that she grew up with, living in my stepdad's house, living in my mother's house, as well as just friends.
We're both friends with Jennifer, who we had an episode with not too long ago.
Puerto
She's Puerto Rican.
1000%.
We have Panamanian friends. Just, we're out here.
Even the media we consume, right? We've all been obsessed with La Casa del Papel.
Money
as we should
get into it.
Money Heist is the moment, the movement. It's everything. And I won't lie, I started lisping like I was from España. Saying tío, tía to everybody, just because Money Heist is it.
Same with
Mexican
media and órale.
Órale. A lot of us pendejo, things that
no manches.
No manches. No mames. No mames.
Yeah.
All those things that are not necessarily native to us and where we're from, but we've picked up just in the Latin American diaspora vernacular of all the fun things that there are to say. So we're gonna share some of them with you today. And first and foremost, ¿qué lo que?
¿Qué lo que?
¿Qué lo que?
¿Qué lo que?
What the what?
What the what?
What's up with you? That's basically all it is. It's
it's a Dominican saying, ¿qué lo que? It's saying, hey, what's up? But they're like, what's good? What's good?
Exactly.
What the what?
What the what with you?
What you been doing?
Tell me about you. ¿Qué lo que?
And I think it's very telling. Dominican people are very fast paced. They're very lively. So they're like, what's up? What's going on? We're moving. We're grooving.
Tell me what's up. And it's I know that just the speed, which isn't necessarily a slang related thing, but kind of in a way, Dominicans speak mad quick, mad fast. I remember watching a Joanna Ranz video, shout out to Joanna, where she said Dominicans speak verbal cursive. That's T.
That is tea.
That's dead ass tea.
So quick.
It's everything is.
But I think that's why the humor is so fast and snippy.
That's why Dominicans are witty.
They're hilarious.
Quick on the tongue.
Watacatapitus veri, if you will.
What?
If you don't know Watacatapitus veri, look it up.
You need to know.
There is a Lil Jon remix.
Yeah. If you lived in Florida, you do know Watacatapitus veri. Yeah. But if you don't,
look it up. It's a song. It's fabulous. It's on YouTube.
And it's literally
we're not
just
being sponsored by Watacatapitus veri, but look it up.
How good Watacatapitus veri. But it's basically just the biggest banger of our middle school years. I think that was it.
Yeah.
And you should check it out. ¿Qué lo que?
¿Qué lo que? Now we're gonna move on to Épale.
Épale, chamo.
This one's universal.
Yeah.
Universally around all Latin America.
I would have no idea where that started. No clue.
Not at all.
We hear that across the board.
Also, remember, music and stuff. If it's popular in one country, it'll popularize soon all of Latin America.
Puerto Rican vernacular, in particular, really gets spread through that reggaeton and dembow, all that very popular music that transcends all of Latin America.
Yeah. So épale just means hey.
What up?
It's more of a casual.
It's hey. That's also hey, like it's
Like if you haven't seen you in a while.
yeah.
Yeah, and if you're calling someone from across the street, you're like, "Épale!"
Exactly.
Like
it's almost like an excited hey.
Yeah, like oh my gosh, hey! Like you haven't seen your friend in a while.
Oh my
you
god,
run into them.
épale, ¿cómo tú estás?
Yeah.
¿Qué lo que?
Or like when you're like yelling at a kid not to, "Épale!" Don't do that.
That's true.
Hey, come here.
Hey. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a really trying to
Yeah,
get
like
your
you wouldn't tell your
attention.
grandma like, "Épale, abuela." Probably not.
That's not for
That's
her.
rude. That's
not
not
for
rude.
her, yeah.
It's not for her to hear.
You're trying to give abuela sheer love and grace at all times.
You're trying to give your abuela your bendición. You would never say épale.
You would never say épale.
But to your friend, your
maybe
homie,
if you're joking with her, when you're like, abuela,
Yeah,
you look nice.
You're-
Look at the lip liner or
Épale.
whatever. Épale. Like, así
Yeah,
también.
yeah.
But not like, épale, abuela. Like,
No, that's mad rude. We don't want that. All right, what else we got?
We got my favorite disclaimer for that person over there. Fulanito. Or fulanito de tal.
Or fulano de tal.
Exactly. So, first of all, I think this really originates with the fact that Latin Americans really love to tell stories.
We are telling stories.
We are storytellers, baby. That's in the culture. And like, if I'm telling Viv a story, like, oh, I went to the super and I did.
Because at the end of the day, you're the main character.
Exactly. So it's like XYZ, and then some dude came up to me and said whatever. Like, if I'm trying to tell her this story, I'm like, y después un fulano, whatever. Like,
fulanito de tal.
Like,
and that
did
just
this.
And what the important thing is, it's not like I feel like they don't have this equivalent in English. Like you're not just like, oh, some dude.
Yeah.
Because then you're like, oh, what dude? Some random dude.
Exactly.
Like, it doesn't matter. Fulanito de tal has a personality. Fulanito de tal is like if you're familiar with Florida lingo, it's like the equivalent of a jit. Like he's like a fool.
We don't care.
Fulano.
We don't care about him. Period.
We don't care about him.
He's not the main character
at all. He's a scrub.
That's a great word.
Yeah, that's it. He's a scrub.
He's just like, I'm trying to tell you this story, and this dude was there that was part of it, but like, we don't care about said dude. We don't. We're just trying to tell you the story, and we're like, and then this dude, fulanito, entró and did whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, he's not relevant.
He's not relevant to the story. We already know he's kind of annoying. He's getting on people's nerves, and fulanito de tal is not in our crew.
No. We couldn't be bothered to learn his name.
Period.
He's just a fulano.
He's just a fulano.
Cualquier fulanito.
Fulanito as well. It's like a younger fulano.
Yeah. Or just like almost like belittling even more.
Yeah,
fulano,
exactly.
They're like, whatever fulanito. Like,
fulanito, X.
Yeah. X, whoever.
Yeah, whatever. X is also something we say, which just means X. Like, doesn't matter. He's an X variable in the equation. We don't care.
So what?
Period. We're out of here.
And I think that's fantastic.
I know. And you can also like, especially like women do this, like ladies calling like a little boy, they're like, fulanito, come here.
Oh, that's cute.
That is sweet.
If it's like your, I don't know, nephew.
Yeah, exactly. Your little nephew, that little kid that lives off the corner.
Yeah. On your block.
Yeah. He's always fucking around, you know. Yeah.
You're like, mira, fulanito. Yeah. Pick up your dog's poop when he poops on my yard.
Yeah. They're like, hey, fulanito, I need you to carry this for me. I need you to do this thing for me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I always thought, growing up, like going to DR a lot and going to Puerto Rico, whatever, being in kid spaces, that like kids would look at you and be like, amiguito, amiguita, like, hey friend, like, can you move? You want to come over here? Like, hey friend, like complete stranger children. So like
stranger danger.
I mean, when you're a kid, you're trying to play with other kids, whatever.
Right.
You're trying to get these kids' attention, whatever. You're like, amiguito, amiguita. So it's cute. I think that's really sweet, and it shows how like you can literally just assume someone's your friend and they low-key are.
Yeah, and we do the same thing in Venezuela, but we say chamo. Hey, chamo. Chama. Like, that's like very like, hey, what's up, friend? Like,
exactly.
We are on a friendly level. Same with pana, which pana we use all around. You probably heard it in the Heights movie. Pana is like,
Epa, pana.
Hey, my friend. You know?
And that's gender neutral.
Everyone's
a pana. Amen.
Period. Then we have que huevo. Que huevo is like, this is probably one of my most universal used phrases.
She say it all the time.
I do be saying it. I stay saying it. Que huevo means what egg, or like what an egg. Huevo means egg. Now, what does que huevo actually mean in the big scheme of things? It's a problem. Like, oh no, now we have this problem.
Huevo.
Like, damn, you got a flat tire?
Que huevo.
Que huevo. Your girlfriend's late to meet you, blah, blah, blah.
Que
Que
huevo.
huevo.
Like, it's really
Yeah.
putting a damper on your day.
Your overdraft, your bank got overdraft. Que
Que huevo.
huevo.
Yo.
Damn.
Que ladilla.
Que ladilla.
Another
Ladilla is more
one.
like, that's such a bother.
Uh-huh.
That's so annoying.
Yeah.
Que huevo was like, damn, what a problem we
Yeah,
got
yeah.
in front of us here.
We gotta do something about this. Que
Yeah.
huevo. Like, oh, now I have to deal with this.
So-and-so cheated on so-and-so. Que huevo.
That's like, ooh, that's more like que balls in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is also like que huevo, you know?
Yeah,
like,
que huevo.
The nerve, the audacity, the gall, the gumption.
Yeah, also because we call balls like
huevos.
Genitalia.
Like testicles.
Like we call them
huevos.
Huevitos.
Huevitos.
Yeah.
We say pelotas también.
Oh
but anyways, moving forward. I know. I think that's a lot
a little
too.
too much.
But that is something I've heard.
That is what
that
I'm
is
hearing.
one. That's the one. One of my favorites for like that guy. You know who you are, Papi Chulo.
Papi Chula.
We know who Papi Chulo is.
We've
that
heard it.
dude.
Y'all know. Y'all already know.
It's like
I
the
know
male
the Americans
equivalent.
know what's
They
good.
know what's up. It's like the male equivalent of Mamacita, but Mamacita is like more of a wider range. Like it depends on context way more. Mm-hmm. Where like if you call someone Papi Chulo,
you're is like, oh,
they unless you're saying it like sarcastically or whatever.
They are the moment.
They're it.
They smell
he is
real
well groomed.
Nice.
Yeah.
They got that shape up. They got that fresh fade.
That lineup, baby. That lineup is fresh. He's looking so good. He knows his barber. They have the numbers down. They have figured it out.
Baby,
like,
yeah. Oh my God. He's smelling like Calvin Klein. Baby. He's coming in there. Shirt press.
Oof, baby. He's not messing around.
Do you remember? This was like a little bit off topic, but this was so like, this is the most Latin American thing in the world.
Tell me.
In the early 2000s, right? You know, unfortunately, there's a big history of like homophobic culture in Latin America. It's tied very to the Catholicism culture.
1000.
So they started doing this thing for like men who actually groomed themselves, where they were called
metrosexuales, because
metrosexual men.
Because taking care of your health and wellness
has become
its
own sexuality in itself.
It's like literally, it was just cis-het men who like showered and groomed
maybe
often.
Got a manicure.
It was so crazy. Like that was like nails. What an entire like span of several years where like
all over the needles.
Where like everybody was like, oh my God, these men are getting like manicures. They're like buying. They're buying these expensive clothes. Like
they would like interview people at the mall and they'd be like, oh, we see you have a Gucci bag. What is that?
What's up with that? And they're like, yes, I get my haircut like once every 2 weeks.
These metrosexuals are taking all over Miami.
When literally it was just men caring as much about their appearance as women are expected to, at least in my mind.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it was.
So it's like,
so that's a Papi Chulo would definitely be in that scheme.
In that metro world. But like high key, it's a class thing. Let's be real.
Yeah, it's
like
classist.
It's one of those things where it's like, even in the United States, like in our American culture, like if you see somebody who looks amazing every day, probably have money.
Facts.
If they have all this designer shit, they probably have mad money.
Facts.
So it's like, I don't know. I think Papi Chulo can be more of like a swagger.
True. That's okay, T. Yeah.
It can be more of like a swagger. Because at the end of the day, if you're rich, you're going to be Papi Chulo to an extent.
You're going to be Papi Chulo to an extent. Well, and then talk about your cousin, El Papi Champú.
El Papi Champú.
Is Papi Chulo like to the max.
Exactly. That's something
you
that
kind of got to have money to be a Papi Champú.
You have to have money because you have every single box checked. Ain't nothing that nobody can
Jordans
look at you.
Is fresh. Baby.
Nobody can clock you at all, baby. You ain't got no scuffs on your Jordans. You ain't got no fucking mismatch in your wardrobe.
Absolutely
like you're
not.
serving fits,
your
serving looks.
Match your goddamn boxers.
Could never be caught in socks and sandals.
Oh,
a Papi Champú could never. He's just got
He's only got loafers and Jordans. That's all he owns. He don't own nothing else.
And they're like Ferragamo and the limited edition Jordans while they're at it too.
No,
it's like intense.
I remember new Dunks, they ain't got nothing else.
My brother and my cousin started calling each other El Papi Shampoo y El Papi Conditioner, and I just remember like
that's iconic.
It's really hilarious, actually. It was like their screen names on like PS4 or whatever.
Yeah,
hilarious. And it's just like they were just trying to show that confidence, be it. And I was like, go off, Papi Shampoo, go off.
I love that.
I think it's so funny.
I actually have this really faint memory of like being in kindergarten, and this just goes to show that like the sexism that they put on these
From
kids
day one?
from the day one. It was my kindergarten teacher. She had a boyfriend, I guess, at the time.
Ooh.
I know. Well, here's the thing. So her boyfriend was coming to visit the class. You know how kids be nosy as hell, and they're like, "Ooh,
I'm
your
trying to know.
coming."
Oh, baby.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
trying to
me
know.
too. Of course,
I had an opinion at like 4
still
years
nosy.
old.
I'm
yeah.
still chismosa. Are you kidding me? So then he was coming in class that day, and so then like we had to practice as a class, like as he came in, being like, "Hola, papi chu."
I'm sorry.
And we did it. And all the teachers came in and like excited to see it happen.
I'm sure it was hilarious at the time.
No, of
but
course,
like,
it's hilarious now. But I'm
like,
thinking,
¿pa qué are we telling
like,
these
what
kids?
are we doing? These kids are kids. They
They're-
are kids.
they're quite
Like they don't
literally
need to be
children.
talking about this.
No.
But that's how you know that there's the beauty culture
It runs
in
so
Latin
deep.
America runs a little too deep.
It's
you
like
know?
quite literally
Latin America and
excessive.
Asia. Not to say that America
True.
doesn't have a very extensive and very like gatekept beauty culture, but I think that in both Latin America and Asia, it is like extremist.
It's pretty bad.
You are like striving to be beautiful more than you are striving to be a human.
Well, it's like, look at even like the amount of, I know I'm Dominican, I think about all the time, just the amount of like people who are going to DR to get their BBLs.
Oh, it's like
Let's
a new thing.
be real.
Did you see that
Let's
thing
be real. No, the last time I went to DR
Twitter.
in December, I went to DR for Christmas, and there were like at least like 6 women in wheelchairs.
No, I know.
On my plane,
actually,
which is like,
you know what's so funny now?
all fresh off their BBL.
American Airlines, or I don't want to say it was American, some airline literally put out a statement that was like, we will not be giving special treatments to medical like patients coming from the Dominican Republic, and it was because there weren't enough wheelchairs in the Dominican airports for the amount of people that were flying from Miami
and you know what?
to DR to get a BBL.
I 1000% believe it, baby, because when I go to DR, when I go to see my family in DR,
it's wild.
walking down the street, baby, I thought I had body dysmorphia like as a kid, being in a ballet studio, like being in the United States and like all these American beauty ideals and blah, 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 blah. But no, baby, as like a really lanky Latina, trademark, I've always been like a really skinny, lanky, long person. Legs, baby. But like all my family has booty. All of my like femme cousins have big old booties, bubble butts. My sister, my mother, my abuelas, like everybody's got a big old booty. And I'm out here like flat as hell.
Legs though.
And it's one of those things where it's like, I can't walk around the Dominican Republic without being like ass. Like everybody's ass is unreal. It's like
fake or real, that's iconic.
Baby, watermelon ass is all around. And I'm sitting over here like, la flaquita in the corner. But it's fine. We were all meant to have different gifts,
honey.
baby.
We all got our own.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's like, I wouldn't do it. I personally wouldn't do it. More power to you if you can afford and stand to recovery and like all of that.
No, I kind of I'm like, go off, girls.
If you can,
go off,
if you can afford it, if you can justify it in like your life, if that's gonna make you feel like your best self, like please go off.
By all means.
By all means.
But speaking of terms, go back to slang. The one big thing that was a big slang, I guess not a slang term, but a popularized thing in Venezuela at least, because as you don't know, but Miss Venezuelas stand the reign of like the most celebrated beauty queens. We've gone down the last couple of years,
but like historically speaking,
the Miss Venezuelas are like at the peak. Same with Miss Puerto Rico's.
Yeah. At the end of the day,
there's a couple countries in Asia, I want to say.
Colombia even.
Yeah, Colombia.
It's one of those things in the Latin American community, like beauty is so important, and like the pageant scene is very popular. My mother was a beauty queen. I have one of my tias who like her and her sisters and like a lot of that, like the pageantry is very highly celebrated. And the popular
term there is 60, 90, 60. Which means that like your bust has to be 60 centimeters, or 90 centimeters, your waist has to be 60, and then your ass has to be like 60 or 90.
90,
something like that.
So it's like a true hourglass to the centimeter, baby.
Yeah. And then like people go based off of this like rule.
Mhm.
Like, literally. So
Literally.
that's like a one thing. That's a slang term, a Venezuelan slang term of like
the
you know,
hourglass, the look,
hourglass.
the bod, if you
the
will.
body,
The
body.
body.
All right, well, let's get into some of these terms. What else we got?
Yes. We got a nice little dramatic fun one. Violin.
Violin.
Now, what does violin mean
It means
to
violin.
the Venezuelan people? Tell me how
Violin
they use that, Viv.
means B-O.
What do you mean
odor,
by that?
You stanky, you funky. You are not up to par.
Faux.
Okay? Which we'll talk about faux too.
In a
Faux
second,
means like,
it's like a bad
awful.
smell. It's just like what's onomatopoeia? Is that the word?
Yeah, onomatopoeia.
It's like full. Like that.
Faux.
That?
Like
full. Like if
like
you smell.
kind of like pee.
Exactly.
Kind of like pee.
It's like if you hear somebody's body odor,
No,
it's not bad that you hear it.
No, really,
but like
no,
someone
you
walks
hear
in
it.
the room and that's like their underarms, their feet, like something just is off.
Stanky.
Something don't smell
Something
good at all. Something
stanky,
is not
funky,
it. So
a
you
little
think
sour.
full.
That's
what that is.
And violin kind of has the same effect where it's like it makes you know how sometimes you're so moved by a violin performance that you start crying. It's the same energy where it's like, ooh, that smells so bad. My tear ducts are watering
Because of your smell, baby.
Because you are stanky. Violin.
Entonces, it's like a person, right?
Yeah, it's a person.
Who has violin?
Yeah, you have violin.
When you freaking stink.
My grandmother believed that violin could get passed on, that if you walked by someone that had terrible violin, you would catch it too.
Oh my god, that's so dramatic.
She talks about stories where she's literally like, oh my god, I walked past this person, they had it, and then I got it.
Shut it down.
Part of me still kind of believes that though, because I'm like,
You know what my abuela told me though? She told me that if you use somebody else's deodorant, that you would sweat like them.
Well, that's probably what it is.
That you would sweat and or smell like them.
So don't be using other people's
deodorants, is what my abuela was trying to emphasize. Have I done it? Yes.
Oh, many a time.
But
if you
I do, in the back of my mind, I do hear my little abuela's voice saying like, "Hey, el grajo tuyo va a igual." Grajo's another one for like, specifically when I think grajo, I think underarms.
No, same with violin. It's like specifically
it's like
the pits,
from the pits.
Yeah. Well, because there's pecueca, and pecueca is
I have not heard that
foot.
one.
It's foot BO.
Oh, you see, in DR we would say cicotes.
Okay.
I know. I personally, I've had stinky feet this entire time.
You're a dancer.
I always.
This girl's a dancer.
Yeah. And ever since I was a very young little dance girl, my feet have smelled terrible.
The whole time.
The entire time. And my family used to always freaking get on me about like making sure that I'm the one that is taking care of my cicote because everybody else has to deal with it and it's my problem and whatever.
And they were right.
I mean,
and
now
she's got a handle.
I do have a handle now as an adult because I was really embarrassing. But Jennifer, shout out to Jennifer Miranda, who has in fact been featured on our podcast, our mental health specialist, our queen. One time our families took a vacation. It was like freshman year of high school or something. Our families both went to St. Augustine to like have a little weekend, cute little moment, entre las familias, whatever. And my feet smelled so bad when I got back to the hotel room that she was like, please wash your feet. Please wash your feet. Like, none of us can focus on anything because your feet smell so bad. And I was just like, no.
Honey.
I was being such a brat. I was like, no, I don't care.
Why?
Like,
why would you make everyone suffer?
Because I'm like 14 and I'm like, no, I don't want to do that.
No.
That's stupid. Yeah, whatever. So I'm like, no, I won't do it. And then she was like, I will wash your feet, bitch. And I was like, really? And then she literally, she washed my feet in this like hotel sink. Before we went back out. So shout out to Jennifer Miranda because she has in fact washed my feet like Jesus.
That's a true friend.
That's a real homie right there.
That's a real homie because I would not.
I would not. I wouldn't even do it for myself.
Yeah,
like that's how we ended up.
You didn't do it for yourself.
I didn't. That's how we ended up in this scenario in the first place.
So violin, cicotes, pecueca, faux, grajo,
all bad smells, stanky smells coming from the body.
And these are just like, it's funny because like, it, depending on the language you're in, and I've seen like a lot of TikToks about this where it's like, depending on your language you're in, you obviously think differently. Like shout out to La Juanita Londoño.
Amen. We love you, Juani,
We
mi
love you,
animal.
Juanis. She is a great friend to the Miratidad family, and she's from Colombia, and she's like kind of straight off the plane.
Yeah.
At least when we met her, she just moved
She had
from
come,
Colombia
yeah, she
in
had come for
2016, right?
university with us.
Yeah, to go to school with us. And so it's funny because when she speaks English perfectly fine, but when she thinks, when people in English think, they're like but she goes
Eh.
And
People
it's
don't
funny.
think about that. That
And
like,
nobody clocks it really because she's just speaking, so people
except
are
for
just
like
like, oh,
bilingual
and she just
folks
has
like
her
us.
accent, so people are just like, oh, it's her accent. But when we heard it, we're like, oh, that's hilarious.
It's because like we're familiar with the fact that like if my abuela, if my dad are like in the middle of something and they're thinking, they'll
they're
say
like,
in vez de like which
yeah,
we're used
which
to
I
hearing
know
in
that
English.
like the French is like a
Yeah. It's just like that. In theater school, they teach you that that's the schwa, the unvoiced vowel, or whatever the hell, where it's just like the thinking sound. Literally, it's like your natural go-to sound that you make.
So a lot of these, especially for like bad smells, like think about it, like pu or like those are automatopoeia. So these are automatopoeia, but in Spanish, and depending on the country you're in, you can see how they have their vernacular in Spanish.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to tell me about Monsieur?
Yeah. So, listen. Speaking of the French, in Venezuela, French people or European people are like some of the most idealized
in general,
people in general, especially across Latin America, just because the Europeans are the ones who colonized us. And also, speaking for Venezuela specifically, since Venezuela at one point was so close to being like the first stage 4 country in Latin America, like the most developed country, blah, 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 blah. A lot of people still have this ideology, even with the state of the crisis.
Mm-hmm.
So they idealize French people and European people as the utmost high.
And that's still low-key the facts, even in like the United States. Like if we think about like so many of the ideals that we celebrate,
that's why we have so many
American
people that
society.
are studying abroad in Europe.
Exactly, like
it's beautiful.
Europe is absolutely. No one's trying to shit on Europe by any means.
We are Europe stands. I'm a Francophile here.
Exactly,
we love it.
Like period. Europe, there's a reason that it's like a cultural hub or whatever. There's so much beauty. There's so much wonderful.
The architecture is so well kept. Yes, we love it.
We love all of that.
We love it, but. In Venezuela, European people are seen as the utmost high, specifically French people. And so whenever there is a like European, Anglo-Saxon looking person in Venezuela, they're called monsieur. Why are they called monsieur, you ask? Because the French word for sir is monsieur. So they don't know how to say monsieur. So they just say monsieur.
And monsieur is like... If you're familiar with gringo, gringa, that's a very popular term, mostly for like Americans and just people who don't speak Spanish.
White people
who are like
you can be perfectly Latin American and you can still be the gringa of your family because you're like the whitest.
Exactly. Like I am the gringa of my family because
you live in the States. Yeah, I am the gringa of my family too because I live in the States.
Yeah, like all of my family lives on the island. Most of your family is in Venezuela as well. Yeah. It's like because we're the ones who live here, yo soy la gringa. Like I'm the gringa. And like that's fine. A lot of people like hate on gringo, gringa, like white people in particular are like, how dare you?
But it's not an insult.
It's not an insult at all. It's an identifier, baby. Like, breathe.
It's the facts, and it's all right. That's fine. Ain't
like,
no problem.
No one's trying to hate on you, baby. You're just a gringo.
It just is what it is.
Like that's just it. That's who you are. Está bien. Like, no one's trying to like hate on you.
But basically, Monsieur is the like gringo-looking person in your hood, in your friend group, and Monsieur. You know what I mean? And sometimes they like have this aura, or like if you are called a Monsieur, and not necessarily in a derogatory term, but in just like a like an exhibit of who you are, then you're like seen as like, oh, you're posh, you're bougie, because you're Monsieur. You're like, you know what's going on.
That little flick of the wrist you just did, very that.
Flick of the wrist.
Very that. Metro even, tying that back in.
A little metro, a
little papi chulo, a little papi champu, if you will.
Many a time, a Monsieur could also be a papi chulo.
These things are intersectional, baby, as all things are.
Yeah.
Very that. One another one that we should touch, I feel, is hablador.
Hablador means the talkative one. You're talking. You stay talking.
You run in your mouth.
Yeah, kind of like a chismosa.
Yes.
I am a proud chismosa.
¿Y qué?
I think that gossiping, when it's done maliciously,
can be hurtful.
Very hurtful, very negative.
But people can vent.
People can vent,
their
and I
trusted
think that
peers.
we as the human race grow by talking about the experiences of our loved ones.
1000%. I feel like it's only natural to want to express these emotions that we feel inside, and to straight up just
especially
be like gossip is bad is like really.
Well, no, think about it. You're talking about the people you care about, because you're like, okay, you know about the situation, I know about the situation. Let's
hash it out.
Let's discuss and see how we interpret these actions that people are taking.
1000.
Do we interpret them as good or bad? Let's discuss. I feel like we should always have that at the forefront when we're talking about these experiences, you know?
1000%. So it's like...
That's not to say that we stand for bullying here or bad-mouthing your friends.
Could never. I think that it's perfectly healthy to discuss things that are bothering you, that are completely bothering you,
or things you
on
hear
your
that
mind.
You're like, okay, wait, how do I feel?
Things that you want to address, please address them, baby.
You hear something's going on with your friend and their little boo. Oh, what's going on? Because not only because you're like, oh, I want everyone to know. No, that's not the basis of why we're doing things.
I want to know so I can support you.
I want to know so I can support you as my friend. And I want to know, wow, these things are happening in this life. How are we interpreting them? Are they negative? Are they positive? Let's discuss.
Why do I feel this way?
Why do I feel this way?
What just happened? What just transpired?
Do I see this being a parallel in my own life?
But hablador can be seen a lot of like
you just talking
negative.
Shit.
Yeah,
you talking
shit.
Shit.
It's mostly used negatively.
Yeah.
We our thoughts aside, the term itself is rather negative, and but it can also,
I feel like, is used not negative, just facts. It's the facts.
It's like one of those things where it's like a lot of people like to say like women love to gossip, and it's like ooh, and like we just move on. But like chismosa or chismeando or whatever is like accepted as part of it.
Yeah.
To an extent.
It's accepted. An hablador is not expected. Or accepted. It's seen as negative because you're negatively speaking on everyone all the time. You're running your mouth. You know that things didn't need to be said. You know the person that whoever you found something out from didn't want that business out there. Mm-hmm. And here you are actively being an instigator, if you will.
1000%.
An instigator.
But hablador can also be used for somebody who says things and doesn't follow through. So like, for example.
So you're all talk.
For example, I am a flake. I know I'm a flake.
Certified flop. Like we said at the beginning of this episode, we are the right brains. But she makes me feel like I'm responsible.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, I'm such a homebody. I love to be in my house. And I like mentally, I'm like, okay, this is what's going to happen today. I'm going to A, B, C, D. And then I'm going to go to bed. And then tomorrow I'm going to do A, B, C, whatever. Like I mentally have to prepare for whatever the hell is about to happen. And like if Viv, who's very spontaneous, calls me in the afternoon and is like, hey, you want to do X, Y, and Z today? I'm like, that was not my plan for the day.
No,
I'm not
that's
coming.
why I don't be calling her. I don't be calling her being like, hey, you want to go up to this place with me today? No. I'm like, I see Jalbelly once or twice a week, and in those once or twice a week frames, I'm like, all right, babes, let's go hit the town.
Exactly. It's like, not that I'm not down to have fun. Of course I want to have fun
when you go. That's the thing that I don't
understand. I like to go. I like to go. I just like don't like to like disrupt my plans. Your social
battery gets drained.
It's very true.
Easily.
I'm like definitely an extroverted introvert.
Yeah.
If you will. Like I really enjoy my friends. I love being with people. I enjoy like being out and about. Are you an
introverted extrovert?
I think I'm more overall an introvert because I do need to just recharge. I don't necessarily have to be alone,
but like, you do need to like.
But I need to have a moment to myself.
Yeah, I feel like you suffer a lot. Well, not suffer, but you very much feel the energy pollution of the city, and not just this city, but city in general. Like I think the hustle and bustle. I think you're like, I don't care if I'm with my friends and like if there's like 3 or 4 people around me, but I just need to be in a calm, collected space.
1000%. I love having people over. Yeah. I love to host. If I can be in my sweats.
That's the thing is you love hanging out.
I love hanging out. I've had roommates this entire time. Now I live with my partner, just us two and our cat. But I've always had roommates, and I loved the years that we were roommates. I've loved having roommates in general. They were good times. But like even when we were roommates, Viv would be like, "Okay, I'm gonna go do this for like whatever," and I'm like, "I'm not going."
Y'all, it's so funny because when we first met, and we are very similar. Like we said, we're both very right-brained. We do both love hanging out. But it's so funny because she is such a chameleon person. And when I first met her, I'm always out, go, go, go. If anything, she has taught me to be like, yeah, let me chill out. Let me go home. Let me go home.
We can hang with the homies at the house.
There's a term. I don't know if it's Venezuelan. I think it's like,
amiguera?
I know.
Amiguera?
Amiguera, yeah. Amiguera or like, oh my God. I'm gonna talk about it later.
It's gonna pop back up.
It's gonna call compinchera.
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 I don't know that one.
Maybe that's just Venezuelan, but it means like you're always with a friend and you also never want to go home. I feel like my
that's
whole
very you.
childhood, my mom and my grandma would be like, "Ay, tú sí eres compinchera." Like, girl, you never know when it's time to go home. I'm like, yeah, I'm hanging out. I've been hanging out.
Yeah. She's just down to clown. She's down to have a great time.
I'm down to clown always, but.
I'm one of the first people in the house.
Yeah,
I'm like straight up like, okay, I'm tired. I'm leaving.
Because we became such close friends. Mm-hmm. I would be dragging her up around and around town.
That was good for me though.
No, it was good for you. It was good for you. And we were young.
Yes.
We were young. Even I don't do as much as I used
back
to.
then, we were young.
A young 21.
Oh my Lord.
But it's funny because the more I got to know her, I was like, wait, girl, you hate going out. You love going home. And I used to drag you all around town. And she did used to fall asleep.
Yes.
But I was always like, she's just
I
tired.
fell asleep at a couple house parties.
Yeah, more than a couple.
Oops.
I would say like a good 35%.
And you know what? I'm not mad at it.
She danced to one song and then she was out.
It depended on how fun the party was. At the end of the day, I'm like so biased in the sense that like I started having a good time at a very young age. My family was lit. Our family gathering, una boda, una quinceañera, like these celebrations were lit for me by the time I was like 12, right? So think about being 21, 9 years later, and these whack-ass like college kids are like playing some stupid band that nobody can dance to in a house with no free liquor, with no nothing, with nada. And I'm like, y'all are whack. And I just go to sleep.
Yeah, no, that is facts. That is facts.
And I went to sleep quite a few times.
Yeah. But she's taught me now that it's nice to just chill at home. Mm-hmm. But with that being said, whenever I want to like a spontaneous, like, oh, I want to go out, she's not the one to call.
That's okay though.
No, I call her when
if you think like, hey, there's this thing happening like next week. Are you trying to do that?
Yeah, no, and she'll come.
I'll absolutely come. I will come.
She'll come. If I ever just need to like have a little girls' night, wine night,
I will go to
she's
that.
The one I call.
I will go
and
to
she
that.
will come. Mm-hmm. So
1,000,
it works
1,000.
out great.
We
teach each other. I teach her to go out more. She teaches me to go out less.
You need balance.
You need balance. You need boundaries.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't know if there is a term in Spanish for like homebody that I've known.
No.
But I'm a true homebody.
She's a true homebody.
I do.
That's a good English term. A homebody.
I love to be in the house. I do.
That's great.
I really do.
Yeah, y'all.
Pues está bien. We'll end us off with a couple exclamations, a couple of what's up. El Pipo.
El Pipo.
El Pipo.
What's El Pipo?
El Pipo is just like, it's like, whoa, like, I'm really impressed almost. It's like a wow that's, like, almost impressed. It's
like, que buena vaina.
Exactly. It's like, bueno, esta mañana, like, I worked, and then I ran 3 miles, and then I did all these errands, and then I went, and I
you're out here.
Blah. El people, that's, like, really, or,
okay.
like,
Okay.
It's like, oh, okay.
Like, get into it.
Work.
Get into it.
Exactly. It's like, work, bit.
Get into it.
Yeah, so it's like a okay that's like impressed. El Pipo, pero yeah, it's like,
and then Diablo is good.
Diablo is really good.
That is a Dominican term that I have adopted, where it's like you hear this like it's kind of like que huevo, but it's like less of a problem and more just like kind of like shocking news, but like shocking kind of bad news.
And it's like there's so many variations of that too. There's Diablo, which literally means devil, and then there's like Diable, and then there's like El Diache también, which like I have no idea where Diache came about. I've just heard it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Like, how did they come to use
And also, I must say that, like, most of the time when you're hearing this news, you're not completely removed, but you're enough removed to where it's enough for you to make this joke of, like, Diablo. Because it's kind of, like, a little bit more of a lighthearted term.
Yeah. It's not as personal.
Yeah, you're not like, Dios mío, because then you would probably say that.
You would say Dios mío in that.
Because they do be Catholic out
Bendito,
here,
yeah.
They do be Catholic out
here. The majority of Latin America, baby.
They be on the Catholic.
Católicos AF. And like the people who aren't Catholic are like Protestant, still Christian.
And when they're seeing like, why?
And they're like,
they were probably like born Catholic and then they chose to be Protestant. So then people are like, why'd you do that?
Exactly.
Because they're chismosos.
Chismosos, habladores, like
basically.
Yeah, basically.
So when you hear diablo, it's kind of like a, damn, you know what? Like my partner cheated on me. Diablo. Damn, dog. Baby. It's like you're sad, but it's not your life.
Yeah.
Or you're like, so-and-so got COVID, but they're good. Diablo. You saw them at that party last week. But you don't want to say nothing, you know?
Diablo. El diache.
Yeah, you're like, Diablo. Dang.
It's like a yike.
Yeah, it's kind of like yikes. Yeah, it is a yikes.
It's a little bit of a yikes.
Yeah.
But mi amores,
that's it.
That's
it
on
for
terms today.
Thank you for hanging out with us in Vinito Friday.
Absolutely. Please let us know what terms you use. Obviously, we only touched on very few, mostly from our own personal experiences.
And we could definitely have part 2s of these in the future.
Absolutely. If you liked hanging out with us today.
If you liked hanging out with these two queens, our little Vinito Friday, then make sure to follow us on Instagram. You obviously see our videos on Instagram. We'll talk about some of our favorite terms that we use. And check out our community resources page on our website.
Hey.
And until next time, everybody.
Te amamos.